to Salt Lake City for the final game of a wild, wild weekend. We are here to watch the Utah Wild play the LA Astra. You're taking a look at downtown, and now we are going to the game. They are current, and so Utah Wild is 2-1 after beating San Francisco Falcons last night, and LA Astra is looking for a win after losing to Colorado Alpenglow. Utah Wild starting on offense. We have Max Burkett with the disc.
Let's get into it here with a little bit of a poachy look potentially.
Ogawa was not here for the game last night, but is back, and she's a defensive powerhouse for LA Astra.
Almost made her impact known immediately there.
Wow, Kat Songer with the layout grab. Songer has been a main Utah Wild handler and is definitely a goal scorer too.
Yeah, what a start.
So, we're your announcers for this game. My name is Leah Smith.
And I'm Alex Walker.
We're so excited to have you all here with us for the final game. These games have huge consequences for championship weekend. Alex, what can we expect to see?
Well, the Wild are looking to go 2-0 this weekend and really establish themselves as the second place team in the Northwest Conference. And for Los Angeles, it's a little bit more difficult road to hoe. I think they are eliminated at this juncture, but they're still looking to play and finish out the season strong.
Wow, Songer with that layout grab. That was a put by Brooke Stanislawski. And Kat Songer is definitely a player who's ready to leave her feet at any moment. I have played Goldie League with her, and she even lays out there.
She's a big player to watch. Her offensive impact is very large for the Wild. Now we're looking at the offense for LA with Caitlin Weaver in the center, and Jasmine Childress is
that's
not
Camille
out there
Wilson,
today.
Yeah. And so we have Ava Hanna picking up, and it looks like Wild's kind of in a poachy look. We have Kendra Miller on mark, while LA's going into a stack immediately. It looked like they got their pole play kind of removed. And then there's an overthrow there by number 5, Sang.
I think Hrushnikova may have gotten a hand on that as well, too, really impacting the pole play and then getting the disc moving.
But Astra's playing really tight D there. I know Norris had to work hard to get open from Pritchard. And we have Norris over to Wallen for the break.
Hockey assist by Atwell unlocking that break side with the around throw, and that's a dart by Norris to a streaking Wallen for the goal. And that a dream start here for Utah, 2-0 right away.
I think Astra was playing really tight person defense, but Norris was able to get away from her defender with that strike down, and then just a beautiful put so Wallen can catch in stride. Fantastic start.
That's pretty much how you draw it up.
Give a shout out to Wild flag holder Aaron Liu. He runs the length of the field every time Wild scores, so I know he's looking to run a lot today. And so it looks like the Wild D-line is staying pretty similar. We still have Atwell out there, and we have Carrie Shelke, who's a Montana local. She's based in Missoula. She's played a lot with Moondog and is just a great deep threat. She's a defender who always is there when you need her and is ready to make big plays.
I want to also note that number 29, Brittany McCready, is making her weekend debut today as well.
So we have Astra coming down again. It looks like a maybe split stack situation with Weaver as that initiating cutter. But we have Terpstra in the lane to kind of contain that first look, but Weaver still is able to get the disc on the sideline. We have Hannah up to Sang. Over to Swift. And Norris with the D.
Norris with a block. McCready picks it up and immediately gets the offense into its motion.
Back to Norris. Over to Shelke. Let's see if she can bring it down. And Wilson with the D.
Strong D by Camille Wilson there to get it back. Looks like the Astra have put out the same offensive line as the previous point, looking to establish chemistry.
I think Norris's throw had a little bit too much float on it and allowed Wilson to run down as well.
Yes, definitely. It's a little bit of a change-up. I'd heard that the Astra O-line looked a little bit different at the end of yesterday's game, so it looks like they've gone back to their starting O-line from Saturday. The beautiful put by Hannah.
That was, Jeff floated for a really long time. It looks like there's a little bit of wind out there, trying to figure out the direction right now. I think it is going from screen right to left.
I also think they might not be used to the altitude.
And Miller comes down with the throw. That was a big boost from Carly Atwell. Over to Terpstra, back to Miller, trying to get some time. With a beautiful leading throw to McCready.
Just a little too easy there for the Wild, but you'll take it. That's awesome start.
Yeah, 3-0 start. I think that's incredible patience by the Wild D-line, as well as just some vision there. I know Atwell put up that really big throw to Miller, and Miller was able to get support pretty immediately, which is kind of rare on these big hucks.
You see this, you see this huck is a little speculative, but if you're going to pick a deep receiver to throw to, Kendra Miller is a great one. And then you see the rest of the Wild D-line on O running past to get the fill, and allowing for an easy goal.
And giving Kendra space. I don't, maybe I've played too much pickup league, but no one was screaming dump, 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 dump at Miller. She was able to have some space and get some time and space to give it to Terpstra.
Yeah, it seems like the Wild have some thoughtful end zone and quick strike work, so I like to see that.
All right, Wild pulls, and it lands just in bounds at the 25-yard line.
Looks like the Astra have put their D-line out on offense.
So just, yeah, like I said, Avalon Agawa is a huge defensive player for Astra. Looks like Wild has also come out in a zone to kind of contain most of their initial looks. So it looks like Cam Helm out there in the center. Astra's been able to kind of unlock some stuff with Halverson, but going back to Helm, over to Brown, with a big look to Agawa, just bounces off the hands. Agawa's gonna hit the deck a lot, and during the last San Francisco Astra game, she went sicko mode. It was wild to watch.
She's averaging a block every 3 points she plays. It is incredible. Wild immediately into it, looking great here, moving so quickly.
They've been creating a lot of space and be able to get those chunk yards, but they always seem to have a supporting handler back just in case. Looks like a pick was called on Audrey Brown, Cam Helm, Terry Shuckey kind of situation. Shuckey was kind of trying to set up that under and kind of prevented Brown from being able to get back to Wallen. A tight throw to Maddie Hunter. Agawa yet again lays out. And I want to point out Jasmine Childress is marking Ellie Shordahl. And I think that's going to Jasmine Childress is an incredible player to watch.
An unforced error from Wallen there. Clearly was thinking about going as soon as she threw.
All right, so we have Astra on the end zone. We have Halverson with a Brown going upline, going over to Agawa to center. The stall must be getting high, but they're able to find number 30 Bile in the middle. So even though that was the Astra D-line, they were able to hold.
That's a good hold for them. Still a multi-turn point. I think if you're the Wild, you'd like to have punched that in. Generally, what I'm seeing from Astra is they're playing a lot of match defense to start this game, and the Wild have been able to move the disc effectively. It's a solid inside break there to Meredith Bile, who is playing with Astra this year after playing with the Sidewinders last year.
And per game, Bile's been scoring almost 1.5 goals, and she has a pretty effective usage rate. Her O-line efficiency, I think she tends to play more D-line, but still has a lot of offensive efficiency. So it looks like we have a slightly different Astra D-line out there. And yeah, that landed almost the exact same spot as that last pull. Songer is trapped on the sideline, but has Kircher going up line. She's able to have a lot of space. I know if number 52 had looked back, that was Annie No. She could have got it, but was focused on her person.
So in a real contrast to last night's game, the Astra is playing purely person defense, and it's generating more open looks.
So yeah, that was number Alyssa Abbey with the grab there on D. So we have a It looks like an unmarked Zaragoza. We have Helm back with not a lot of outlets. He's able to find Abby. Timeout called by LA Astra. I know, especially when you're down 2 breaks, you want to value the disc and get a break back, especially this early in the game.
I think that's a smart timeout, even though we're early in the game. It's recognizing that there's still a 2-goal gap, and you want to try and close that gap as quickly as possible. So I think it's a smart timeout to maintain possession in this situation. And if you're the Wild, you like the opportunity to put your D-line out there because your D-line's been scoring well too. So you feel comfortable in giving your O-line a little bit of a rest.
And I think this is something that happened last game, but Astra's keeping it, I think, the exact same line out there. They're having the coaches discuss with them, but they are not putting any traditional O-line players onto the line.
I don't know if I like that in this situation. It's a long game, and you want to keep people rested, but they also played a game last night.
So let's take a look at our season stats. They do not include yesterday, so we will add that later. But Astra normally scores around 12 goals, but they have a negative point differential with 16 goals against. Wild is pretty exact. They have a pretty minimal point differential where they beat Colorado by 3 points and then lost to Colorado by that exact same score. And last night they only beat San Francisco by 1 point. And so the hold percentage differential, Wild has a higher hold percentage. Walker, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's key right here because offensive holds are important to winning more than defensive break percentage. And the Wild held at about 65% percentage last night too. So that higher hold percentage is likely going to be something to watch to see if they can keep it up.
Looks like Wild had a few miscues. I think they tried to do just a scrammy D and couldn't quite get the match, but it bounces off of Yen's hands.
It's tough to tell, but there looks to be a bit of a wind moving from right to left on your screen as a viewer, and that is definitely affecting some of the throws right now.
Ooh. Whoa, Shortall with the second chance.
Great save on that floaty pass.
Oh.
And now just a miscommunication gives it away.
And unfortunately, that was lost yards for Wild. But we have Grimshaw picking up. Oh, Grimshaw is an O-line player for Astra. But they still kept Helm out there.
Maybe a bit of a hybrid line.
We have Helm looking for Grimshaw. A good switch on the defense there, but Helm is still able to get that back center. Grimshaw was able to catch Hunter with her back to her. We have Guzman back to Grimshaw, and it looks like a pick was called.
Enzo D by the Wild. LA moving it slowly upfield, but losing yards and netting out 5 yards right now on this possession.
And despite the Wild D-line being out there, if LA scores, this would actually be a break. So we have Helm back over to Grimshaw.
LA completely unable to access the break side of the field with this pressure defense.
Back to Grimshaw. Oh, getting close.
A blown switch right there results in an easy goal.
That's Chip Yen.
And that's an Astra break.
Yep, that's a break.
Very patient break, waiting until the defense broke down.
And I know hybrid lines can be high risk, high reward based on the reps you run at practice, but that seemed to run pretty effectively. I think Grimshaw and Helm worked really well together in the backfield, not being able to find those other options. So yes, that was Abby to Yen. And Yen is also an incredible scorer for Astra. They tend to have a nose for the end zone, and yeah, I think that you're going to bring a lot of just swag to this game.
And watching the earlier games, Yen has really popped out, and you can see this with a efficiency rate of 30 and over 120 yards a game for a D-line player. That's pretty cool.
And if we look, Astra put Wilson out on the D-line.
Yep.
At least last game, Wilson was playing a lot of O-line, so I'm interested to see her impact on the field. Oh, Brown laying out for it.
And now Brown is trailing the play. You want to see, yes, Stanislavski takes advantage of it.
Beautiful beautiful, big around by Stanislavski. Over to Burkett. Back to Songer. To Williams. Williams and Weaver matched up is going to be an intense game. And they also brought Weaver over from the O-line. And the D by Bile.
Just enough on that upline pass. Injury called.
Looks like by Bigham.
Number 99, Cogburn comes in.
You take a little look at, yeah, Bile's D, incredible.
Songer tried to bend that around the defender, and there was not enough space.
Looks like there's a discussion on where Cogburn can go. I don't think she wants to walk all the way back. But we have Brown picking up. And yeah, I want to flag that Weaver-Williams matchup. Williams last year was on the D-line for the Wild. Oh, and it just bounces off Agawa's hands.
Just too much of a leading pass allowed Kircher to get in the mind of Igawa there.
Williams catching a low one to Cockburn.
Oh, beautiful inside break by Castile Williams there. Love to see it. And great hold by the Utah Wild. They were looking at potentially letting the game get tied up, and now they keep that 2-goal cushion and let their D-line get out there to do some work.
Yeah, I think the defensive pressure out there by the Wild. Kircher coming back to kind of give Agawa the spooks on that turn. We have Kircher with a low
And you see
to the inside.
You see Williams stretching out to make that beautiful inside shot to Cogburn with a great head spike.
Get a look at our fans. We love to see everyone out.
Better weather this weekend than last Wild weekend where it snowed.
And hailed.
Yes.
And rained. And there was sun.
And there was sun. I remember this because San Diego came up last year in 2022, and I was thinking they have clearly not seen this before.
But Oregon was fine.
Yes, I think Oregon won that game because of their comfort with the weather.
All right, so let's take a look at this O-line. Looks like Weaver has stayed on.
Yeah, and another hybrid type O-line. LA has really opened up their rotations with Chip Yen on O.
I also think
Ava Hanna off this offensive line.
there are some players on Astra who are not playing. They played last night. I know Emily Clem is not playing tonight. And we have Weaver with a fantastic grab.
Fantastic saving pass.
And then we have Weaver and Molly Robbins, who does get confused for Cass Williams. A battle of the number 8s. We have Pritchard going deep. Let's see if Atwell can get there. Oh, fantastic grab by Pritchard.
Box out, a perfect box out by Pritchard, putting the defender on her back. And Carly Atwell baiting a little bit of a deep throw, but too much cushion.
It was a little bit of a mess around and find out situation. And
exactly.
Atwell found out. And yeah, Hruzhnikova did not adjust the mark to prevent that big hug.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was a great O point by Astra. It was fast, it was effective, and it was efficient. It's what you want to see from an O-line.
LA looks comfortable at this altitude as well too. Their throws are properly weighted, and that can be a bit of an adjustment for these teams.
Yeah, I think helping last night probably helped with that. We have Halverson with the pull.
It'll be interesting to see how both teams act later. The later quarters will be something to watch.
Burkett wide open. Over to Cogburn, who also does not have a mark right now.
I'm not sure the defense where you don't guard someone is what LA is looking for.
Yeah. Oh, looks like there's some chaos downfield, but Bigham's able to find Burkett again on a nice round. Stanislavski under tight pressure by Bile.
Burkett with tons of separation on this up line.
And Cogburn to a laying out Bigham, but it's not in yet. She was close. If they look, you can see Stanislavski wide open in the end zone. But we find Songer instead.
Jen Cogburn showing those basketball skills, takes the bump and just keeps looking downfield for the assist.
Yeah, I think Cogburn trying to hype everyone up, and Kat Songer with their second goal of the game.
Clean O point, looked good, looked athletic. generating a lot of separation with the cutters.
Yeah, I think even when Astra had a few defensive miscommunications that point, but we saw still a lot. Even when the Wild player had their match on them, they were able to get that step.
You
So,
can
yeah.
see Jen takes the bump. No problem.
Easy peasy. And that was a mixtape connection. Jen Cogburn to Kat Songer. We have a lot of mixtape players on the Wild, so we always appreciate that.
Yeah, shout out to any other mixtape members watching. We've got three club champions on the Wild with mixtape, and 4 world champions as Corey Bigham played with them last summer at WUCC.
So we have a poll coming down. Lee over to Hannah. To Swift.
Weaver leaks to the deep space, but it's covered up.
Weaver. Back to Swift. To just a wide open Haranik. Ava Hannah. To Weaver. We have Sang, but we also have Wilson just wide open in the end zone.
Both Norris and Shelke went after that under, leaving Wilson deep. I think the switching proved to be a little too many for the Wild there. The read by Wilson, well-timed read to get open deep from, didn't quite see through that.
But yeah, I think it was a well-weighted throw, and I mean, yet again, that was some consistent offense. They were able to consistently get the yardage, even though they were working primarily through their handles. They were able to also use Weaver as an outlet, who then was able to either dump to a handler or even gain more yardage.
Yep. And
so that was Sang.
Sang with a great weighted throw to a wide open Wilson, and the switching left someone unguarded at the end of that possession.
We have Kircher looking for Songer.
Kircher juking Martinez out of their shoes.
And we have Stoller wide open in the end zone, but looks like they decide to dump.
Both D-lines leaving someone completely unguarded.
Looks like, yeah, Songer's been around, but she's able to find Williams. Stanislawski with the big grab up to Kircher. Let's see. Oh, perfect. I originally thought that throw was going to go out of bounds, but it was weighted just enough that it'll turn back. A great outside-in backhand from Stanislawski to Kircher.
Yeah. Stanislawski has looked really sharp this season. She took the 2022 season off to become a mother, and I think has come back better than ever.
Yeah, I played club with Brooke, and she's incredible in the air now. And we have Kircher and Cogburn doing a little silly. And yeah, it seems like vibes are good down there by Astra and Wild. So I'm interested to see. We have 8 seconds left on the clock.
Love this camera perspective from behind. Stanislawski showing how she could see a wide open Kircher and a lot of space to put a throw up.
8 seconds left in this quarter. We got number 8, Wally Robbins on the field. I am sensing some.
And so Wild will start the next quarter on offense. So I think they definitely really want this break, so then they can just start on O immediately after.
Yep, or they'd like to probably force the final possession to be a turnover, preserve that 2-goal advantage. More of the standard O-line out now for Astra.
Ooh, very close there.
Great save
That's
by,
Sang's able to bring it in.
that was Sang.
We have Hannah.
And the Wild are in a zone, and they've killed out the clock, so this will be the final possession of the first quarter.
Yeah, it looks like Swift and Hannah are doing a lot of the work. We have Weaver to Hannah to Wilson. And it looks like Astra's broken through. They were able to get 4 or 5 quick throws through, and I'm not sure if Wild has crumbled to a person. Ooh, we have Weaver with an upline, knocking on that door. Over to number 17, Havranek. Yeah, that was some really chill zone.
Yeah, that's the end of quarter possession you'd like to see. You could see the comfort of Weaver, Hannah, Swift in a zone. I think you see a lot of zone in Southern California. UCSD, famously a zone team with a big part of their identity, and I think you could see players' comfort against the zone there. So great end of quarter for LA. They closed to within 1. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back for the second.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, WUL Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head on over to the WUL Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. Through their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild sponsors: Burt Lund at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.utahwildultimate.org/sponsors. Thank you all for sponsoring the Utah Wild.
And we are back for the second quarter of Utah Wild versus LA Astra. It is 5-6 right now with Wild in the lead. They're up 1 break. Wild is going to start on D. I misplaced my quarter plan, but Wild is going to start on defense with Astra starting on offense. And yeah, we've seen a lot of different looks so far. Walker, what do you think?
I think that after Astra got in a quick 3-0 hold and found their legs a little bit and are looking a lot more comfortable in the later part of the first quarter. So I think keep being confident, and they're performing really effectively today without Maggie O'Connor, one of their most important offensive players.
Yeah, I think it's also important to flag that Avalon Agawa was not there last night, but is here today. She is a D-line player, so she is not about to be on this point, I think.
No, they've got the standard. They're starting O-line out, and the Utah Wild have come down completely in person.
So we have Weaver with the disc over to Sang. Back to Weaver. With an inside to Hannah. Miller tried to get there, and we have Atwell with the D.
Richard leads Atwell just a little too much into that space and gets a nice block.
Yeah, Atwell's a big block getter for the Wild.
Half expecting Atwell to just rip it and rip it there.
I've already seen her do that.
And we've got a timeout.
I think that was a pretty good call by the Utah coaches. It looked like the D-line was pretty stagnant up there.
Pretty smart.
Where is he?
Kendra is pumped that Carly got that D.
As we all are. Yeah, Kendra was trying to, Miller was trying to get into the lane to try and play for that D. But instead was, I think, able to also contribute to that throw where Atwell was able to make that.
Hannah puts just a little too much air under that. I think one storyline coming out of this weekend from what I've watched is Carly Atwell has clearly grown more comfortable with the professional game and is playing at a high level.
Yeah, and Atwell is coming back from an ACL tear, so she was originally rostered on the 2022 Wild roster, but right before the season started, tore her ACL skiing. Also, I think it's important to call out that Carly was a 2020 college player, and so she hasn't had much experience. She has had a lot of experience when she got rostered on the U20 team, but she didn't get a lot of college experience until this year. she wasn't able to get a full college season in. So it looks like Wild is setting up in their traditional vert stack. We have Kircher with the disc and Songer back. Ava Hanna is poached into the lane, and it looks, I haven't noticed any big personnel changes by Astra.
Yep, it looks like they left the same offensive line out there. They're going to poach the lane a little bit to begin.
And Songer's able to get that up line. Back to Kircher. The Kircher, Songer, Stanislawski just tripod is really angering the Utah O-line. We have Kircher, just fingertips.
Barely out of her reach here.
We have Grimshaw picking up. Over to Weaver. The low throw there to number 3 Yen.
A lot of pressure on Yen here. Weaver comes back. Good way to come back and be the safety valve for Weaver there.
And a blade to Wilson, and it looks like there was a stall called. That was a great grab by Hannah, but I think the disc is going to go back, if anything. The stall contested. And it looks like the stall...
It was referred to the observer, and the observer ruled that it was a stall, so it will be Utah's disc.
Lee could not catch that hammer, but this
here
is
we
going back.
see strong mark. In the foreground, we see great defense by Aragon, forcing this soft hammer. At that point, the stall occurred.
So yeah, we have Songer to Kircher. Looks like Wild's having a little bit of trouble getting that downfield look. Most of the cutters are coming back into the handle space. But Perquette's able to make the save after the Weaver D. And Cogran just running over Grimshaw. She wants it. She's got it. Let's see what Ava Hanna will do and Kat Songer. It's a great matchup. Songer brings it down.
Kat puts Ava Hanna on a poster there.
And we have Songer to Stanislawski in the middle of the field with an around to Perquette, but it looked like there was a bit of a miscommunication there.
Like Mac had just stopped her cut. I like this battle. You don't normally see two O-lines battling each other in the league, so this is fun. This is fun to see these two groups.
So we have Grimshaw picking up. Wilson is making that initiating cut. It's a long one. Grimshaw's able to get it up, but it was a low throw.
I feel like that would have been a very high stall.
Yeah, and we have Pritchard over to Weaver.
Catching a lot of pressure, and
We
Weaver's
have
going to shoot it.
And just keeps going. And it floats out of bounds.
That seemed like that was an altitude throw potentially. When you put those discs on IO and with this wind, they're not really going to flatten out and come back. They're just going to keep sailing out of bounds.
And I think the intent was correct where Bigham was originally positioned as a defender. But yeah, just altitude. Perquette runs it down. We have Stanislawski going deep. Oh, Pritchard with the D.
Just floated enough for Pritchard to get under that. Strong D by Stephanie Pritchard, number 00 there.
So yeah, it looks like there's Astra's still in a vert stack. Grimshaw picking up. I'm assuming we will see that initiating cut from Wilson.
Tough scenes for both teams right now.
Bigham's kind of pulled out into the lane to try and make it a little bit tighter. And with a big huck to Pritchard.
That is way too far in front.
And yeah, let's see, it's about 5 yards further than the last huck.
Thank you for the Wild. Dig deep here. I'd like to see them run and gun. Kircher is unmarked right now.
And Kircher recognizes that. Oh, with the layout grab. And let's see, yeah, Wild is kind of lacking cutters right now. Pritchard tried to pull off to skinny the lane, but Stanislawski missed an opportunity to gain yards. Looks like, yeah, the offense is looking a little gummed up.
This would be a good time to maybe call another timeout.
And Stanislawski again to Songer.
Great throw.
Back to Perquette, who's unmarked still. Oh, and the layout by Hannah. Oh
Great.
my gosh.
The range on that layout by Hannah, save possession, was great. I think if the Wilds get a turnover, maybe call a timeout just to catch your breath. and also to put some fresh legs on.
Not tire out your O-line completely.
Oh, a
Ooh,
timeout
Astra
by
timeout.
Astra. I think Songer gives Hannah a high five because they are both exhausted.
And important context, this would be an Astra hold. If Wild continues, then they could get a break. So let's take another look at Hannah's layout block. Just incredible. Gets a lot of height in there, and I don't think Perquette realized how much range Hannah has.
Yep. Maybe a little also bit of tired legs late in that point for the O-line. Just some of those later point decisions were, I think, less than ideal.
And we were talking about an O-line versus O-line point, but how do you feel about a D-line versus D-line point?
Well, we might be here for a while, not to throw too much shade on what D-lines are famously known for, but I am curious to see how it goes.
I said I wanted chaos this game, and I believe I'm getting it. Yeah, so it looks like out there we're having Brown, Childress.
It's chaos. O-lines are playing D, D-lines are playing O, cats are friends with dogs. Who knows what else is gonna happen.
What else could happen today?
We've already seen a dropped pull. I don't know if you were tuning in earlier, but there was a dropped pull, something I have not seen in the league before.
And it looks like Astra's setting up in a split stack. They're looking for a Gawa and Childress as ISO cutters, but we also have Brown kind of in like an upline position.
And the 3 Wild defenders are poaching to the center of the field on the split stack.
I think they have a lot of confidence in their cutters. Oh, and a big just throwaway.
And that never came in bounds.
I would say kudos to the Wild D-line there. They were able to shut down Childress as an initiating cutter and made sure that Brown really couldn't get that upline look. They really covered every outlet, and since Astra was set up in that split stack, they didn't have access to those other 3 cutters.
Yeah, forcing a high stall bailout throw that unfortunately did not travel very far in bounds.
So we have Hunter picking up. To Atwell. To McCready, a little floaty.
Uh-oh.
And she brings it in.
And with a little bit of contact, and one there.
McCready with 2 goals this game. Like we said, she was not rostered yesterday.
But she's had a huge impact offensively on this D-line, showing it immediately.
And I want to also highlight Maddie Hunter's breakthrows. Maddie was a practice player last year for the Wild. She also played BYU Kai. And here we can take a quick look at just how Wild was shutting down defense. Atwell on mark was really big, and just then we have, Atwell's around. Hunter really opened up that break side with her throws, and you should watch her. She gets very low and is really, like, there's an incredible picture of her from a Colorado game that I will post later.
That was sick. Number Brittany McCready with 2 goals already in this game on a D-line. That's what you want to see. Shout out to WUL Stats. The nerds are doing great work over there. I say that because I'm one of them, but
let Walker join stats.
Please let me analyze the stats. But Brittany McCready had a really high offensive impact score from earlier in the season, despite playing D-line, which shows her potential.
Yeah, McCready's just a very intense cutter who brings a lot of chill to the field.
And another booming pull from Atwell.
And we have LA in their split stack looking for Weaver. Yep. Miller with tight defense. Back to Swift. Lee looking back for Swift. Let's see if Atwell.
Miller aggressively checking Weaver.
Oh, an incredible grab by Weaver under tight pressure and a high stall throw. Beautiful inside by Weaver. So we have Yen looking for Swift. Back to Yen. Oh, and a little bit of contact there. As Wallen says, bye, I gotta get back.
Was unclear if a stoppage was called. That play by Wallen I would consider to be a dangerous play.
4, 3,
yeah, I think she tried to intercept, but was just not aware.
I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if a card was issued.
And we have Hunter.
Strong pressure again. The Wild have really dropped in fully into a person look with a lot of pressure.
Oh, fantastic grab by Yen. We have Swift. Over to Grimshaw. Oh, just out of Lee's hands.
Astra generating those open upline looks, but unable to connect on the last one there. And we've got an injury called, and we've got Miller off.
There is an injury call.
Looks like they're sending Shortall on.
Great shift by Kendra Miller, doing a lot of work on a very difficult matchup.
Yeah, as we know, Weaver is a power player for Astra.
Chip Yen off for Astra, and Evelyn Igawa on.
Also a great, just strategic choice.
Yeah, I know. These coaches know what they're doing.
It's almost like they're pros.
And we now got Avon Igawa on the field.
There's Weaver's save. It was phenomenal under such tight pressure. And then
This is the contact that I thought might have been a card, and it was extremely late. We're back to game action. The Wild just threw a huck that floated a little bit and allowed Astra to get a D. They're back on D.
and we have Weaver and Wallen out there together. This keeps floating, and Wallen's able to kind of corral that so Weaver doesn't have a chance.
Great help D off the back of the stack by Wallen there.
With Shortall helping.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
fantastic grab by Agawa.
A poach by Agawa gives them the short field.
And the layout for the bookends. That was phenomenal.
That disc was up. Wow.
Agawa eating layouts for breakfast. She's an incredible player who just yet again brings so much hype from plays like these. She will not be stopped.
Wild's D-line generating tons of pressure and not quite able to capitalize.
Yeah, I think Wild D-line, they have some really good opportunities, but I think Astra's trying to kind of get smart on what's happening.
Yeah, and I think you just have to be more consistent. I mean, you've got this is throwing directly into a poach, and then you see directly into a poach for Igawa, and then they have this short field, and it's always easier with a short field. Oh my
Looks like
goodness!
there was a switch on the
great,
force.
yes, and a really great diving save by Igawa
Wow.
there.
And Bile also hyping it up. So we have Wild receiving. We have Kircher and Songer. To Bigham. Back to Songer. Oh, with an inside break to Kircher. To Staller. Back to Kircher. Ooh, under tight pressure, Stanislawski. Agawa on Stanislawski is a fantastic matchup. And Songer. Even though Kat Songer is the Wild center handler or second handler, I think Kat's made a huge impact on scores.
Oh, she's been scoring at a high rate for someone who ostensibly plays behind the disc. The Wild doing a great job moving the disc laterally until they get an open power position look, and then someone is just jogging in a perfectly weighted Kircher throw.
I think Songer also does a great job clearing out, so she gets her throw off and then it just clears the space and is able to be an effective cutter. She lays out, she has impeccable throws and just times her cuts really well.
This is the first 2 goals from Songer. Here's her third, here's her playing in space really excellently. And then here is her 3rd goal today.
A short roller by the Wild.
Just gets it just out of bounds. Ooh, curious to see what the Wild are going to try here. It looks like a trap, short field trap.
We have Hannah picking up with a beautiful round to Swift. Atwell selling out to make sure that a round can't happen. But Swift still gets it off to Weaver. Over to Hranic, to Wilson. To Hannah. Oh, with a fantastic inside, but that was down, unfortunately, a little too low. Oh, Shortall with a big boost to Norris, but Wilson brings it in.
Wilson with a better read than Norris there on that.
Norris slowed her cut a little bit. We have Weaver.
Not against the idea of making the Astra O-line work at a higher number of yards.
We have Weaver around to Sang. Back to Weaver.
Oh no.
Just a miscue there.
Weaver playing a great high usage game there, but just an unforced error, unfortunately.
Terpstra looking. Oh, that was very close by Havranek. And a timeout called. I think, yeah, watching Ellie hold the disc for a really long time, definitely it's a good time to call a timeout.
Yeah, I think as soon as you see things start to break down, that's where you call that timeout and you get a new line out. And with a minute 30 left and the Wild up 8-6 over LA, I think this is a good time to try and get a break with your O-line and ride a larger cushion into half. There's also an option here to go 2 for 1, which is the Wild could score twice to Astra scoring once, and that would also bring that cushion into half. But
and it looks like,
yeah.
I was going to say, and it looks like Astra's bringing their D-line out. They have Agawa, Childress, Brown, Bile, and so I think, yeah, Astra's D-line has still been able to generate Ds. I think they're only down 1 break, and have proven to create a lot of turns against this Wild O-line.
Yep, and Astra kind of going with a more conventional setup here. I like to see the Wild coaches trying to control the end of quarter situations, show some real thought here. And also, I want to say the Astra rotations have shown that they're really thinking and trying to be unconventional in how they incorporate how they approach the game, which is very cool because I think in previous games we've seen some coaches maybe not meet the situation as effectively.
Innovating. So we have Kircher picking up the disc.
That's what the WUL is great for, some of these innovations for Ultimate.
And we have a big around to Stanislavski, to Cogburn running deep. Back to Kircher. To Burkett.
Yes, Mac. Oh, that is a great, oh man, overusing the word great, but you love to see it. I mean, the offense unlocks the break side and is just moving in flow. And one thing, if we note, the weight that Paige Kircher can put on her throws is picture perfect. It's just easy leading shots that are very, very difficult for defenders to get.
My favorite fact about Paige is the fact that she does not handle for her club team. She's like, my dream is to be the initiating cutter and then just like score goals. For the Wild, we're like, too bad.
Paige has done an incredible job this season. She's one of the highest. She's the highest yardage player throwing and receiving on the Wild
and the league. And
has done an incredible job, you know, with the workload that's been placed on her in this offense.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to see. So Wild only took less than 15 seconds to score that goal.
Oh my goodness.
So we can talk more about end of quarter management, but we maybe want to see how long this point takes. We have Lee picking it up to Swift.
Split stack again. Isolate. The Weaver just isolated in the middle. It's a big old under.
Back to Swift. Looking back to Weaver. With a beautiful around to Grimshaw. To Havranek. Oh, just a little too high for Pritchard, but not too high for Chip Yen. That was up.
Man, you could see Rushnagova kind of thought that was a turnover, but now we're back into it.
See Lee looking for that break side over Grimshaw. Shelke kind of pushing in the lane until it looks like they need an outlet, and that caused a missed throw.
Carrie Shelke with the defensive pressure forcing that throw away, and we've got multiple players going deep.
Terpstra picking up to Hunter, to Wallen. Just all up lines over to Terpstra, to a wide open Robbins. Shelke is also, okay, not open anymore. But looks like they're stagnating a little bit with a baby hammer, baby scooper to short all. Looking for Wallen.
And that's a goal for Shea Wildcard Wallen out there. And that's another break for your Utah Wild, up 10-6 over the LA Astra.
very great to see, and it looks like, I believe that was the end of the quarter. So not only did Wild get that break, but they will start the next quarter on offense.
And that's the perfect finish to the half if you're the Utah Wild. You love to see it, and shout out to Molly Robbins with that baby hammer. That's an old school play. No lefties.
Just baby hammers.
Just baby hammers.
Yes, so we're so excited to see how this game continues. It is 9-6. Wild is up by 2 breaks. We're excited to see how the rest of this half goes. There's Robbins' baby hammer with Shortall with the backhand. All right, we will be back with a halftime interview, I think.
It's Wild 10, LA 6.
Oh, 10.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, Bewilder Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head on over to Bewilder Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. Through their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service,
times, but I come back around, and I don't know why. Should've let you get under my skin. I swore I'd never fall for you, not again. I can't let it go, baby. I can't let it go, baby. I tried.
really want to show young girls that they can be athletes too. I've struggled with imposter syndrome, and I've really had to ground myself in why I play. I play because it's fun. I like to compete. I like to show it with my teammates. I like to push myself to be the best. And I think being out there and doing that for them and having other people see and potentially think that, hey, that can be me one day, that's really exciting.
I know I've struggled in my own life to take up space, and I think that it's so amazing that the ultimate field has changed that for me. That I can get out there and I'm no, I know I am a good cutter and I know what I need to do here and I know my role on the team. And I think that it's just helped me open up so much. It's also led to more confidence for myself, and I really want for other women and non-binary folk to see that, oh, they're out there doing this. How do I get into that? What does that look like? What's my role there?
I really liked a combination of both endurance and shorter, more competitive sprints, and then also going up directly against players. And I think that also is what attracted me to Ultimate as well. Understanding what you're capable of doing is just a really great experience that kind of drives you to just get better at those individual skills in sports.
My Ultimate story, I've been fortunate to have coaches and friends and the community to encourage me to be the player that I am today and ultimately fall in love with the sport of Ultimate. So I hope that the Western Ultimate League, like this program we have today, Open Side, we continue to connect and welcome new fans and future players and continue growing this community that we all love. I think hopefully one day that someone will fall in love with the sport as much as I love it.
I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just knowing that we're giving an opportunity and visibility to the sport for young women. It's the best thing.
One more time.
Oh,
yeah! Oh yeah!
Baby!
Cody!
We believe that women and non-binary athletes deserve to be seen and our abilities showcased for the world to see.
We believe in perpetuating Ultimate by establishing professional teams and developing future generations of players.
We believe players of all identities and backgrounds deserve an equal opportunity to be recognized and lauded for our achievements in our sport.
We believe in sustainably and responsibly creating equitable and accessible avenues for women and non-binary athletes to join and participate in our sport.
We believe that being transparent,
open,
and responsive to criticism is critical,
and that there should always be space
to fix our mistakes, grow,
and be better.
We are the Western Ultimate League.
And we're back at Judge Memorial McCarthy Stadium. We are in Salt Lake City for the final game of Wild Wild Weekend. Utah Wild is up 10-6 against the LA Astra. It's been a tight game so far with a lot of gritty defense. I also want to focus on Wild O-line handler Paige Kircher. She has 1 goal, 2 assists, and 1 block. She's an incredible player who really can do it all. She originally plays as a cutter for her club team, but for the Wild, she's our center O-line handler. Paige is an incredible thrower who unlocks a lot of and we can take a look at our first half stats. So Wild has 6 clean holds, while Astra only has 5. Wild has 6 holds, while Astra has 5. But Astra has fewer clean holes. They have a slightly higher turnover rate, while Wild still has 9 break chances over Astra's 8.
I think Astra going 1 for 8 on break chances is the toughest part there.
Yeah.
And the Wild going 4 for 9, just a higher level of conversions, just really more effective defensively, the defensive line offense.
All right, so the Wild O-line is starting even though the Wild scored this last point. We have Songer.
And just a little bit of miscommunication gives the disc back to Astra, and that is a throw by Brown too far in front of Helm.
So we have Songer picking back up.
Take 2 for this offensive line here.
I think Ogawa on Stanislavski. And just Kircher jumped too soon. It's a floaty disc out there. Just enough wind to mess everything up. We have Ogawa with a lefty. Just missed Brown.
Another strong defense once again by Kircher. We have a potential stall.
Utah Wild back on offense. I'm excited to see some.
All right, we have Kircher picking up to Songer in the middle of the field. High release to Burkett. But Martinez was there.
Offense is really bogged down for the Wild, have given.
Oh, Ogawa just misses.
I would like to see Stanislavski just pick it up and get going.
Going somewhere. Ooh, that was tight pressure by Brown. Stanislavski in a power position. Over to Williams, and Stoller's still going. To Sarah Stoller.
Wild finally got out in the open and made quick work of that possession. And if you're LA, that is not what you wanted to have happen. Multiple red zone opportunities failing to convert.
I think Astra was doing a really great job locking down on Stanislavski and Kircher. With Stanislavski locked down by Ogawa, it meant that there were fewer looks for Wild to work through.
Yeah, you can see this power position look for Songer, wide open to Williams, and an even wider open Dr. Sarah Stoller for the goal.
Dr. Baller for the score.
What kind of doctor is she? Do you know?
I think family med, but
it is medicine.
Sometimes I check in with her and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just helping birth babies," so she can really do it.
That really is family medicine.
So we have the Wild on defense. It looks like we have Wilson pulled over again for the D line. Weaver is also out on D, or on O. I'm so sorry, O line.
Yep.
This is a normal line then.
Looks like they're pretty standard.
We have Hannah. Wild has come down in a zone to kind of create those, to prevent those plays. We have Grimshaw.
Big fan of this to break up the initial play to Weaver. And actually it looks like Shordahl is just mirroring Weaver, following her around the field.
Let's see if Pritchard can come down to it. Looks like it was just a little blady, didn't ever really flatten out. I think this wind is just enough to
mess it up. A little too speculative. I'd really like to see Atwell just get to the disc and get it moving immediately rather than waiting for a standstill, static offensive start.
So we have Wallen up to Miller. Oh, looking for Williams, but Wallen kind of cuts that off. With Shordahl just a little too high, but Robbins is there.
Robbins is there.
With a big throw to Wallen for the break.
Wild card with another goal there. Wild card Wallen looking good. Ooh,
Flexing
with the gun celebration. And it's really opened up here in the third.
Shay does do CrossFit. I think she also helps coach CrossFit.
Ooh,
so
not my favorite.
That's why she's flexing on them.
Yeah, CrossFit people jumping off their couches right now, but I don't like it.
CrossFit represent. We have Shordahl.
Look at this break. Some days the disc just goes your way, and then a beautiful continue to open Wallen for the goal. The D-line offense looks really, really confident right now for the Wild, and you can kind of see day 2 and the altitude getting to the LA Astra on often.
4 straight goals for Utah, which is incredible to think about. And if you look at the Astra O-line out there right now, we still have Weaver, which I think is also her 4th point in a row, if that. It's definitely her 3rd point of the quarter. And we also have Childress and Brown out there, but they still keep Hannah and Wilson out there.
I believe Yen has also crossed over, so it's a full hybrid line for Astra.
And it looks like they're still setting up in that split stack, trying to center to Weaver. Maybe looking to Brown initially.
The Wild going with this to just really cut off easy throws.
Hruzhnikova, putting a lot of pressure.
A lot of body on Brown.
And
great
Brown
catch in
calls
traffic.
an injury.
That's a lot of contact. Hruzhnikova coming kind of through the backside there, and there's no real easy way to get a D from that angle without generating a lot of contact.
Yeah, and we have Agawa coming in, who has proven to be a game changer for Astra. It's back to Hannah. Ooh, faked that beautiful around. They're getting just baby uplines with Grimshaw. Wild is really working that no around, but that meant Grimshaw could get that inside to Hannah. Yeah, I believe that's Yen, just open.
Just on the doorstep here.
Ooh, and Grimshaw really juked Norris, but it looked like there was a stall called.
If you're a hunter, I think you send this immediately to the observer. The risk reward is too high otherwise. And off the excellent cut by...
Stall contest. Observer ruling. It is not a stall. We are goal.
All right.
All right, that's a goal. Ava Hannah with a beautiful upline cut to generate open space. While doing a good job of eliminating swings on that point, but there were just a couple of uncontested upline looks that made it too easy for them to keep motion going.
And Astra kept the point alive by having these burrowing uplines.
You can see this inside here, just a lot of contact. There wasn't really a clean line for Brown, for Hruzhnikova, and then you can see here, we can watch Hannah take a step back and just juke Norris to get open up line.
Yeah, I think Astra really only operated in a single third of the field for at least the last little bit of that point.
Yep.
They were able to still burrow their way in.
Yeah.
And so we have the stats for Ava Hannah. She's 1 goal and 1 block, but I also know she's a high-use player.
3 turns is a lot for today, but we don't quite have the context of her touches, and she has had a lot of those. The Wild, I think you just want to have your reset defender let off maybe a few more swings and take away those uplines.
Power position uplines.
Out of bounds pull.
Aragon picking up. It looks like Astra's really pulled up on and poached off on Kircher to prevent those upfield throws. So Kircher says, okay, I'll come up here. With a nice flick to Perquette, where Bile is just nowhere. To Stanislavski. Looks like there was a call. It looked like there was some contact. I think that's Annie No on D.
Do you think there was contact called and she didn't drop the count and then it turned into a
so.
violation? Because there was definitely contact on the pivot.
And looked like No was still counting. All locked in. Stanislavski just running all over. Looks like Wild has lost a few yards, but handler movement is still, there's still some downfield looks. We have Cogburn. To Bigham under tight pressure from Agawa. To Kircher as an outlet. Ooh, an inside, but Aragon just, I think if Aragon was able to run for it, she could have made the save, but thought it was just a done for disc.
Good pressure by Astra there, forcing just a lot of tough inside shots.
Abby unmarked. We have Helm. looking for Guzman. And a timeout called by Astra.
All right, at the 20 yards out.
I think that was when Helm still had the disc, so I believe it'll be at the 30.
The wind is coming pretty strongly from right to left on your viewing screen. So Astra is attacking the downwind end zone with the side of the end zone closest to the viewer in the stands being the most downwind corner.
And it looks like Astra's doing another hybrid line. I think they are keeping Abby on, and I think Bile and Helm, but bringing on Weaver, and I don't know if Childress is originally on.
Childress is in the huddle.
Yeah.
So I expect her to be on. She was not on earlier in this point.
Guzman is also staying. While Wild looks like they're going with their traditional D-line, a full changeover, get some fresh legs in there.
If you're the Wild, I also think your offense maybe start to attack from the back of the stack a little bit more, try and get some power cutting along with the handler movement that has been so effective in this game.
Yeah, I also think I've seen Wild pump off some cuts that I mean I personally thought looked good, but maybe they weren't ready to make that throw.
Yeah.
So either being more prepared or timing cuts a little bit better.
They are attacking into the upwind end zone.
We have Weaver picking up. Over to Guzman. Oh, switch that led to Weaver wide open, but they give it over to Abby.
Forcing middle here, it looks like, for the Wild.
To Yen.
Making those swings difficult, and
so Abby making a tight grab. To Guzman.
Astra not getting really any upfield motion.
Back to Abby.
Have moved a total of 0 yards so
inside
far.
Inside to Helm, and a beautiful around to Childress.
And that's it right there. Just move the disc back and forth until you get an easy open side break, or easy break side look for the goal.
Yeah. And that was a break for Astra.
And I don't think if you're the Wild, you panic right here. You still have a 4-goal lead, but you do want to have a clean offensive hold right here. This is that break throw unlocking the assist. The hockey assist there, I think, is the most important piece of this replay. We see as Childress had the goal served up to her on a platter.
Yeah, I think Wild was running a forced middle there, which was really effective in containing those initial lists, but once it got broken, they were able to just ping it into the end zone.
Childress, an extremely talented player, is going to stay on for this D point as well.
All right, we have the pull. And lands in. So we have Kircher picking up, or sorry, Songer picking up to Kircher. Over to Stanislav, or looking at Stanislavski, who's covered by Childress. To Kircher again. Looking big to Stanislavski, is still floating, and she's able to just run onto it. Just enough float for Brooke to look really cool and easy.
Ooh, a kick spike. Junie, hide your eyes.
That was, yeah, a beautiful O point. They kind of realized that Brooke wasn't working as that initial look, which they've initially been running, and Brooke said, okay, I'll go deep. And Paige and Kat were working in power position, Summer and Kircher there.
I lost track of Stanislavski watching the field, and it looks like the defense did too, because she had an easy open look. And once again, that's an assist by Paige Kircher. Just padding the yardage stats.
Another huck.
Huge part of the game today.
Paige Kircher is good at frisbee. Tell your friends. Yeah, so we have, looks like another traditional Astra O-line out there. We have Swift, Yen, Lee out there, Pritchard, Havranek, yes. That's what I was missing. Grimshaw, Weaver, obviously. We have Shea Wallen with the pull. Ooh, Lee with the sliding pull catch.
Aggressive to say the least, and you could see Swift smiling as she got the centering pass.
It looks like Wild in a zone look again. We have Swift back, to Havranek. Pritchard's going deep, but decided to hit that inside to Lee.
Falling into a matchup defense here for the Wild.
Ooh, an inside to Weaver.
Stall is called by Shelky.
That was a beautiful put by Lee.
Okay, and we have an uncontested stall.
So it looks
Or
like
sorry,
uncontested, contested.
there was no stall.
Okay.
There was
A recalled stall.
Yes.
Retracted. Oh, a lefty. Swift is able to come down with
Strong
it.
save.
And an upline. Weaver versus Wallen. A lot of contact there. But Weaver's able to come down with it.
Weaver says, I'm taller, right there for the goal.
Yeah, and Weaver was able to keep her positioning in the air. Well, I know Wallen was trying to get there.
I think the pressure there on the Wild was very good, but the offense for LA was just a lot better.
And Weaver also went kind of over Wallen.
Yeah, Wallen actually started to get that inside positioning, but again, Weaver goes, I am taller.
It's mine.
Caitlin Weaver has had an extremely impactful game. She's been a big part of their offense and defense, and has been churning downfield for Astra in this game.
Percher over to Songer. Well, I think that Astra kind of poaching off that reset handler has been impactful for that initial throw. They kind of get punished really quickly on that.
I mean, Utah is definitely better in a straight line here than Astra. Oh my goodness,
Songer, so close with the layout.
I guess that was farther. I thought she was just going to walk onto it. It turned out to be a little farther in front of her than I thought.
Me too. I would have loved to see it.
LA is definitely poaching on a lot of Utah's upline shots, and now we see the D line.
Ooh,
and that's just an unfortunate drop for Childress.
Oh, and Childress tries to get the D on Cogburn.
And that's too easy for a 2v2 master like Jen Cogburn in small spaces.
And especially when she has so much experience playing specifically with Kat Songer.
Yes, that's another big part of it, is when you're familiar with someone, you just know what's happening.
All right, so the score is currently, I think, oh yes, we can see just that fumble.
Tough little fumble, and then Jen.
I think Songer was really smart with that quick pickup. She recognized that we still had the potential while Astra defense was still trying to get in position.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan in most situations of a quick picking up on any turnover, since defenses are usually on their heels and are still kind of thinking, especially when you commit the turnover, you're still kind of thinking about the actions that led to the turnover and forcing people to flip that switch. And it's always easier as a defender when you're set to be effective, but when you're trying to recover, it's a lot harder. All right, the Wild going with another short pull, rolling out of bounds, the Wild are really setting a bunch of trap defenses almost immediately, kind of not letting Astra get into flow, making them think about different offensive sets, and that just trying to generate turns.
So Wild is kind of looking at a poachy D, but they're able to find an outlet in Wilson. Back to Weaver.
Looks like it's all person now.
Ooh, with a dicey throw to Hannah. Oh, Molly, but ooh, in a big collision, Norris getting in there, but Weaver brings it down.
It looks like there is still a call.
There is
a discussion, and it is ruled a goal.
I mean, yeah, I think that was a great read by Robbins. Molly, you really should have grabbed that. But yeah, now we are at 10-14. Morgan Weaver still maintaining her impact.
Caitlin Weaver, just a quick correction, and plays to her height and in traffic. That's awesome. Continuing to play the disc, and like to see Amy Norris sticking her nose in there, but Weaver says once again, I'm tall.
I'm tall. I'm good at reading
Tall.
discs. Ready to go. Yeah, it looks like Weaver's just having a great game.
Yeah, no, just a high impact game.
All right.
If you're a defensive line, you really go for a lot of defensive lines talk about at least one opportunity to get a block, and I think the Wild are doing a good job of that. Astra a little less good, but they'll have another chance right here to close the gap.
Brown is a fantastic defender, but kind of trailing Stanislavski, which, as we've seen, is a high-use player, but Kircher kind of punts to Stoller.
With Igawa on her back, and
but
Stoller
gets it.
plays the
A high
body
stall.
perfectly to keep Igawa from getting a play on the disc and gets away from that high stall situation.
I think Stoller has scored 3 goals this game, and every single one of them is on a hug.
The Astra are doing an excellent job of shutting down the handler motion through lane poaches and marks, but are struggling, I think, to take away some of the effectiveness of the Wild's downfield receivers. And you can see that in this point, where on a high stall, Kircher moves it all the way downfield, and Stoller plays the disc perfectly and puts her body between Igawa and the disc.
Beautiful. And also, beautiful throw by Kircher in a high-pressure situation.
Yes.
It's not easy to do that when it's stall 6.
And making the decision that if this is a turnover, you're going the full 70 yards with us playing hard defense.
We have the pull. We have Swift.
Yeah, it looks like a standard offensive line. Again, a split stack. Weaver doing a lot of work in the middle. The poach still, Weaver still gets open on the poach. She is lights out today.
We have Grimshaw kind of in a high stall situation, but is able to get it over Atwell's head to Swift.
We have another stall called.
Yeah, Grimshaw was holding the disc for a long time.
These Grimshaw dumps are great to space, just throwing to space where Swift can get it, and it looks like the observer has ruled no stall.
And also there's 2 minutes left on the clock, so that means every stoppage from now on is a stopped clock. And we have Grimshaw back. Atwell, but Grimshaw's able to pull it down. And a switch there over to Weaver. Oh, Molly getting close there, but Weaver still has it.
Lee gets loose to the deep space.
And we have a few defenders, but Lee's able to bring it in. I think Wild had a lot of good pressure on that D, but Astra's offense was very consistent and very chill.
Again, they got another opportunity with Atwell getting a hand on a disc, but that assist was, once again, none other, number 8, Caitlin Weaver. It's a 15-11 Utah lead, minute and a half left in the third. Here we see Weaver throwing a great space throw out there. Miller looks to poach off, but can't due to the pinpoint accuracy of Caitlin. And been a lot of trading right now, trading holds. And if you're the Wild, you're totally okay with trading holds. You know, you don't mind how the game has worked out right now.
So we have Kircher to Aragon with no mark. Over to Kircher. Back to Aragon. With a big around to Cogburn, and Perket's going deep. But Perket brings it down. Over to Kircher.
Little floaty out of the hand by Cogburn, but again, Perket plays the positioning game perfectly and high points the disc.
Yeah, Annie No was on Perket really close to that play, but yeah, Perket had great body position there and boxed her out. Well, Kircher was right there.
It's been a really clean third quarter for the Wild, and you really like to see that.
Yeah, so we can see Perket again.
Perket with a high point D, just a good fake to move the mark, and hits a wide open Kircher for the goal.
I do think both No and Perket are 5'2", so it's a battle for the best.
I think Mac plays a lot taller than 5'2".
I think so too. I need to say that. No, but we have the Astra O-line back on. And yeah, no big personnel changes. I think while Astra put on some flex lines at the beginning of the game, they haven't really done many personnel changes otherwise.
Yeah, I'm surprised no flex line here, but once again, Caitlin Weaver out there.
We have Sang over to Hannah.
Miller switching it up and kind of daring them to huck to Weaver there.
Hannah over to Lee. Back to Hannah. Over to Sang. He's looking for Pritchard. Norris was a little late on that. To Lee. With a big boost to Havranek. Atwell's close, but Havranek has it. Yet again, another clean, quick point by Astra. There's about 25 seconds left on the board, but there's still a 5-point score difference.
Yeah, really just textbook offense, moving the disc through strike cuts to the open side, swings to the break side, inside looks, and a nice weighted throw from Lee here to Havranek, who got separation. Atwell maybe sort of daring Lee to throw deep there and ends up just one step behind getting a block.
Yeah, that was a great throw by Lee.
I'd like to see the Wild maybe force a couple of players away from the disc and dare them to beat them in the air, and maybe push another couple of players underneath and make them beat them with their throws. But
yeah,
it's hard to complain with a 4-goal lead here, up 16-12.
I also think for all the throws that we're seeing, the wind is coming. Let's see, I think
it's coming from right to left,
right
I
to
believe.
left still.
So the Wild are playing into the downwind end zone here.
Yeah, which is also probably why we haven't seen many breaks this half or quarter. There's 7 seconds left. While I think Wild is comfortable running out the clock, I think they definitely want to score still.
It's a great observation. The Wild are definitely clock killing.
Oh, and that they did. And that, I believe, is the game. So, the quarter. Oh my gosh.
Quarter. It says quarter 4 on the scoreboard.
Ooh, I'm so sorry,
It is
everybody.
End of the third quarter.
End of the third quarter.
If you're the Wild, you're cool with that. You killed out the clock, and LA had no chance to close the gap going into the fourth.
This is my third game announcing of the weekend, so I apologize for my mistake. But yes, this is the end of the third. I think before we go to break, let's take a look at Caitlin Weaver. She's really been a game changer for the Astros this
All
game.
over the field with her throws here, throwing multiple assists and scoring multiple goals, maintaining possession. Just really been all over the field, using her height and her skills as a thrower and a receiver to keep Astra close. But it's still a 4-goal lead for Utah, 16-12 over LA at the end of the third here in Salt Lake City.
We'll see you soon.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, Bewilder Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. A huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head on over to Bewilder Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. Through their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild sponsors: Short One at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.utah.
And we're back. The Utah Wild just pulled to Los Angeles Astra. It is the start of the fourth quarter, so this is the last quarter of the game. We have Grimshaw with the disc. Wild running a zone look again. We have Ava Hanna with the disc, finding an outlet and Sang over to Weaver, kind of breaking the field open a little bit. We have Grimshaw still, kind of playing just small ball.
Southern California teams have always, including San Diego and LA, always look really comfortable against zones, but I like it to just, one, make these possessions longer, force the team to throw more throws.
We have Hannah up to Grimshaw. Looks like Wild is going more towards a person look.
They have dropped into a person.
Kira Hershnikova with a big time mark. Then inside to Wilson. Nice grab there.
Very casual by Wilson.
Sang with the disc. To Hannah. With a beautiful around to Weaver. Just missed throws to Pritchard. Had a little bit too much momentum on that break side. I understand the want to throw that.
Yeah, just a miscommunication there, giving the Wild an opportunity to break here early in the fourth.
Let's also talk about break opportunities. Over the last few quarters, Astra has been 2 out of 10 break chances. So they've only scored 2 breaks, while Wild has been 6 out of 14. Not ideal, but definitely more, which is better.
Yeah, most teams have gone somewhere in the 30-ish% range for break chances. So the Wild going closer to 50, 45-ish% is actually a really good result.
Ooh, Wilson with the poach D. That was great vision there by Wilson.
Oh, and the Utah Wild are now 6 for 15, so that number gets closer to that 35%.
Still got a whole quarter ahead of us. We have Hannah picking up. To Sang. To Chen again.
Generating strong pressure here, but
back to
Astra
Yen.
Astra able to get up line a little too easily.
With an outlet pass saying, hey, Weaver's really good, and
That
that is correct.
A high stall throw.
Oh, still a stall called. But I
just,
like those odds.
Yeah, new nicknames. Caitlin Too Tall Weaver out there, and a stall called. And the observer rules that it's a goal.
For those wondering at home, Weaver is actually 5'9".
Too tall.
Too tall.
Too tall.
And also like a great trust chemistry throw by Yen.
You can see here the Wild shut down these upline looks, shut down the around, forcing Yen to throw it into the middle of the stack where Weaver high points the disc perfectly.
Yeah, there were no other defenders in the area.
It's a bummer because as a defense, you want that. That's the opportunity you were going for the whole time, and you don't get the block. And if you're Astra, you'll take the goals so you can get them.
Yeah, Chip Yen with 1 goal and 2 assists on the game. She has a really high number of assists for Astra. She's definitely one of those players who's able to kind of be confident in the red zone and put those stats up. We have Wild. Disc lands in. And Avalon Agawa running down. Really making it. Oh! Abby with the run through, but there is a foul called. There was a lot of contact on that play.
There was a lot of contact, and it looks like it is an uncontested foul by Abby. I just think that it was really difficult for her to get a block without generating a ton of contact.
Yeah. Steve Songer picking up to Stanislavski. Really wanting that hug, but
Cogburn really wanting it as well.
Kircher unmarked, but Agawa is doing a really great job containing. Back to Kircher. Oh, but a miss throw to Parquet.
Kircher thinking again about throwing and going. The next throw after that one, just a little bit of a miscue.
We have Cameron Bile, but that just slipped through their hands.
Oh, tough drop for Meredith Bile there. Sidewinder in 2022 and a member of the Astra in 2023. She is a WUL veteran.
I think that's important to be comfortable with this rule set. No, trying to lay out.
Great catch in traffic there. Burkett really just maintains the catch even with the distraction of the laying out.
We have Stanislavski just off her hands.
Bummer.
So
Stanislavski's gonna, I think, keep thinking about that one after this game.
We have Guzman picking up. Helm going up line, but they find Hannah. Oh, not, sorry, that's not Hannah. That's
Zaragoza.
Just saw the 2. That's a good, I would say a good timeout call by Astra. They've generated multiple turns and they really want to value the disc. The Astra O-line has been looking more and more consistent, and while the O-line has turned it a few times, they've also been more importantly able to get it back in the last quarter.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think if you're the Wild, this is fine. You're up three goals. I think you want to put on a D-line and try and kill some clock in this part and let the O-line be rested.
And I think I want to point out that Astra has now evened up on Wild clean holds, or Wild holds, and has one more clean hold than the Wild. When we looked at it earlier, there was a bigger disparity with Wild being more successful, and we're seeing a lot more parity between total turnovers. While Wild has 2 more break chances than Astra currently, it's still an incredibly tight game. And I would say, like, I still want to make sure that that the Wild can generate this pressure. And Astra is keeping out their, they have Weaver out there, but I think they're still keeping primarily defensive players.
They've got Wilson and Yen, but also Brown and Childress. So it looks like a high-powered combo line here.
Yeah, and we have Hannah picking up.
Cool. Very talented group of players for Astra. If you're the Wild, I think you just want, looks like the Wild is coming on zone here to maybe do a little bit of time killing along with their defense.
Keep Weaver as contained as possible. They have it over to Brown. Weaver in the backfield against Outlaw. We have Grimshaw. Back to Brown. Ooh, to Grimshaw. Ooh, and the trip. To Brown. To Childress, and it looks like Wild has crumbled into a match D. Ooh, just off of Childress's fingers.
Pressure by Wallen, I think, pushed that throw just too far out in front of Childress, but the Wild get it back, and that's a missed opportunity for the Astra for sure.
Ooh, Hunter putting Hannah on skates. Wallen really wanting it deep, but we have Shortall. Back to Hunter. To Shortall. Grimshaw was close on that.
Yeah, the angle in the booth makes these look very close.
McCready under tight pressure, and Wilson gets it.
Another set of tight pressure, and Brown sends it, making the Utah D-line work the full 70. But at this juncture, 6.5 left with Utah holding a 4-goal lead.
Looks like an injury's called. Wallen is walking off.
Yeah, 4-goal lead for Utah with 6.5 left. I think you're happy to just take as much clock as you can on these possessions.
And Wilson subbing off with Igawa coming on. Looks like Shelke's going on for Wallen, a little Montana for Montana swap.
Okay. Looks like we've also got Stanislawski talking to the trainer, so hopefully that's just a turf burn.
I'm assuming it's for the turf burn. Oh, and it looks like injury was called when Brown had the disc.
Okay, so it's going to be a...
Oh, brutal. So Astra still maintains possession.
Astra maintaining possession. Unfortunate for the Wild, very fortunate for Astra, and they are still keeping, they're still keeping themselves in this game. It's they're going to have to close the gap very quickly, but they're still fighting and still maintaining a high degree of offense efficiency.
So we have Brown in the middle over to Grimshaw. To Yen. Back to Grimshaw. To Hannah. Astra's just running those up lines, able to move the defender. Ooh, Molly Robbins was really close to Weaver on that, but Hannah to save possession. And I think there was some contact there. Oh, but it's still going. Over to Agawa. Oh, I'm assuming a
downfield pick. Wild defense working hard to make all of those resets very, very difficult.
And it looks like Astra's offense isn't moving much downfield, but giving that 4-second pre-stall honestly gives them another chance to kind of reassess. They're looking for Hannah upline.
Shelke working hard, but the Hannah's ability to burrow underneath the mark allows for those upfield resets. And just a unfortunate
And
throwaway.
it looks like a timeout was called by the Wild. I think yet again a
Big fan
good
of that.
call.
Big fan of that. And at this point, you know, we've got a mismatch between the stadium clock and the game clock, but we're under 6 minutes. We're close to 5 minutes left, and with this 16, and with this lead, you've got a situation where the Wild, I think, are happy to play out this long possession and put multiple lines in and out.
Yes,
The O-line started on the field.
got a little bit of a break.
There was an interlude. There was the second act. The D-line came out, and now we're in the third act at this point.
And while we're in this timeout, we're gonna take a quick look at the standings. So in the Southwest, which is where Astra is, they are the bottom of the rankings with a negative 27 point differential. And to make it into championship weekend, the first metric is win-loss record. And then if you happen to have the same win-loss record, then it goes to point differential.
So the Super Bloom have clinched in championship weekend. The second place in the Southwest is very exciting. It's looking at this point in this game that's going to come down to a win and you're in game between the Falcons and the Sidewinders coming up next week. I'm not exactly sure. And then in the Northwest Conference, the Tempest are playing very well, and the Wild are holding on to the second spot, looking for this win here, hoping to close out a win and have a strong case for that second place finish in the Northwest.
And it looks like Astra took Weaver off the field. She had a really long point. And a rundown by Perquette, but Childress grabs it. I'm unsure if there's going to be a call. That was a lot of body contact, and I don't know if Perquette could see Childress coming in.
Yep, Childress did have a lane to the space, but it was a blindside. It was a blindside block on Perquette, which is tough. And then the cutting downfield ended up leading Childress into that space. So Perquette made a cut, but there were too many downfield defenders in the area to make it a completion.
Oh, it looks like that's a turn, and Childress maintains possession.
And now Astra has another chance here.
Ooh, Stanislawski with
a
the
block.
layout.
I'm
not sure
foul
what the
is called.
All right.
Looks like the argument is that there's contact, and it looks like there is no contest. So there was enough contact by Stanislawski to.
Looks like.
Oh, excuse me.
Still
there is a discussion.
Still
So
some
it
talking.
is possible. Yagawa made the sound for the
Signal for injury first.
yes for no contest.
Let's take a look again. So we have Childress. And
Got this upfield throw.
all I can say is that there's a lot of contact.
There was some contact with the ground. It's really tough to see where the physical contact came from. However, it looks like we have a foul upheld by the observer at that 20-yard line.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
And a hand block.
Maybe another foul call.
Perhaps another foul call. I think again, if I were Brooke, I would send this to the observer. Stanislawski, I would send this to the observer.
Foul. Contest. Okay. I believe it was a foul. Disc stays here.
Okay, the disc will stay with the
Stall comes in at 1.
And the clock is still running during these discussions, which I think is an important factor. It's about 3:30 left on the clock.
Yep, again, if you're the Wild, I don't think you're really that concerned.
And the spicy upline. And that looks like Helm to Bile. So a previous Sidewinder connection there.
That is a break for the Astra. They are hanging around in this game, despite having a tough second and third quarter. But with 3 minutes left, I think they're going to have to score
quickly.
Yes, this is going to be tough to get this done.
Yeah, and I know Wild needs to work on still initiating downfield on their offense. I know it's been a long game and they're getting kind of tired, but they need to make sure they keep that motion.
Yep. And it looks like we've got a D-line out here, so Childress is staying on. We've also got Brown playing some back-to-back points.
And yeah, Wild, it looks like O-line is staying. So we still have Songer and Kircher, Perquette, Stanislawski, Cogburn, Bigham, and Aragon. And a roller pull out. Interested to see if they throw a zone. Aragon to Songer. Back to Aragon.
Well, they are poaching the lane and switching.
Oh, a little too high. Let's see if Kircher gets it. Oh, and then turns it. That's conservation of great.
I know, and a backwards turnover as well gives Astra a shorter field to work with.
We have Guzman picking up to no. Looking for Guzman again. Back to no. Ooh, the layout. To Martinez. And I think this kind of shows how tired the O-line is right now. They're not necessarily taking anything away. We have Brown with an inside. I think that's to no.
And that's another break.
Wow, huge for Astra. Yeah, I think they were able to play some really tight D and cause some tight missed throws for the Wild. And the Wild on defense was not really effectively working. They weren't taking anything away, and so kind of let Astra run all over. So it looks like they're still gonna have a lot of the, let's see, we have Williams and Stoller on, Stanislavski and Kircher, but we're bringing in Harushnikova and Miller from the Wild D-line. Looks like Robbins is getting pulled over. I think that's a really smart choice. Robbins an incredible defender as well as just an effective attacker. Running over so she can get there in time for the line. While, let's see, the Astra D-line looks pretty similar. We have Martinez, we have Helm, Childress. Yeah, a solid D-line right there. That's 4 in a row for LA, kind of meeting Wild's 4 in a row in, I think, quarter 2.
That's tough if you're the Wild. You really just wanted to close this one out, and now you've kind of opened, you've really opened things up. And with what looks like a 1-goal lead with 2 minutes left, the Wild are facing a little bit more pressure, I think, than they would have liked in this fourth quarter.
So we have Martinez poached off, so Kircher goes to Harushnikova. And around to Miller. Back, oh, with Harushnikova with the drop. Agawa going deep. And some really, really quick handler movement there. Halverson able to pull it down with that power position to Helm. Harushnikova tried to get there in time, but couldn't get there, couldn't get it. Looks like Weaver is back. Didn't recognize her without the scrunchies in. She means business. With a blade over to Agawa.
That is another break for Astra, so that's 5 in a row for LA Astra, and it looks like this game is tied up.
Wow, so yeah, for the Wild, they really need to work on playing cleanly and closing this game out. I mean, Astra's fired up. They are ready to go. I don't know what's going to stop them. Agawa is right there with that score.
And it's just a really set of execution errors for the Wild. They have a lot of talent, and they've been generating a lot of open looks and just making a couple of mistakes with the disc.
Yeah, that's just truly wild to see. We've had 2 back-to-back tight games.
Okay, so just as confirmation, it is 16-16. We did have a mismatch between the scoreboard and the broadcast there for a while. It is 16-16, and the Wild have given up 5 in a row officially, and I am sick to my stomach over this.
Stressed out here. Timeout called by Wild. I think it's nice to give them a chance, give the O-line a chance to reset, but also high risk if Wild is able to score quickly and then they generate a turn on D-line. You know, we're working through a lot of what-if situations, I guess, but I do think the Wild O-line needs that reset.
Yeah, and I think you had a situation where there was a really long point and you weren't that concerned about it when you were the Wild, even though you had a bunch of opportunities, but then giving up 2 quick ones in a row is really, really tough.
Concerning.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was a wild run for LA, I guess no pun intended. We start off with that beautiful put from Lee over to Halverson.
And it's been powered by a lot of really constant handler motion and a lot of trust downfield as well.
And Morgan Weaver doesn't hurt.
Yes, that's just a little bit of, they've also had a little bit of luck. These replays show, you know, a high stall into traffic. This is another high throw to an open receiver, but
it works.
Luck, talent doesn't matter. What matters is the outcome, and right now we have a tie game. And I think the Wild were hoping to close out an easy victory and are now faced with the prospect of a bit of a tight finish.
So the disc went out. I'm not sure if the clock stops because the disc was flown out versus stopped out, but the clock has stopped on the scoreboard, which I think is just important to flag. Should stop. Okay, it should stop.
It stops out of bounds
for the
inside of 2 minutes.
Inside of 2 minutes, so Kircher gets to center the disc. We have Agawa on Kircher. Over to Aragon, back to Kircher. We have Weaver on Cogburn. Oh, and the hand block by Weaver. Helm picking up. Still looking for Weaver. Still looking, able to find Helm. Stanislavski was close.
Tons of pressure there.
Helm there. And a beautiful around by Helm, but just off of Weaver's hands.
And the Wild get it back.
A blessing. Songer looking for somebody. There's not a lot of motion downfield, so a huck to Jen is not a bad look. And Jen is able to make it. Wow.
Songer and Cogburn making up for an earlier mistake. Get that D on pressure, and
you were talking about those high stall throws. It looks like the Wild can do them too.
Exactly, and now you're in a great spot if you're the Wild with 20 seconds left and a 1-goal lead. The pressure's all on Astra to have a fully clean possession.
And they're bringing Childress over.
Weaver putting her stamp again on this point, though, with that hand block, but unfortunately, Cogburn gets the best of the matchup by the end of it.
And we're seeing that hybrid line again from Astra. It looks like we have Brown, Hannah, I think that's Halverson, I think, or Yen. We have Jasmine Childress, Swift, Wilson, and I can't read the last number, but I think most notably I do not see Weaver on the field.
Looks like Weaver is off.
And she's played a lot and she scored a lot. And Wild with the short pull. It's about on the 50-yard line.
Just not letting them get set into their offense at all. I think if you're the Wild, or I mean if you're Astra, I think you have to treat this as this is the one you're trying to score. You really don't think you're going to get more than one opportunity here.
And Wild's kind of running a poach match set. I think there might have been a pick downfield. Maybe a stall called. Unsure.
If you're Astra, you treat this, I think, as this is your only possession to get a tie. And if you're the Wild, you
Stall coming in on 3.
Stall's coming in on 3.
And if you're the Wild, I think you are just trying to make them score with no time on the clock. And
Robbins
the Wild get a block, and that's it.
With the run
That's going to be it.
There's
just throw it backwards. You just want to throw it backwards. No reason to do that.
Oh my gosh! Childress with the D. And if Astra finishes this possession, it's a tie game. So, Atwell tried to get there, but there was a lot of contact there. I don't think there was a stoppage of play. And Norris with the
And
D.
that's a game-saving
Let's see if there
block.
was any call. It looks like a foul called by Hannah. There was a lot of contact there. It's a high-pressure game.
Yeah, we'll have to see this, but this looked like Norris had the inside play. There was a lot of contact. It looks like the observer is ruling.
It should go back, or
No, it looks like
not a foul
looks like
was called.
Hannah will have it on the goal line.
There's an around look to Childress. Childress has it. Back to Hannah. Childress going up line.
It's extremely aggressive four-side defense for the Wild at this point.
Swift.
Pushing Astra backwards.
To Wilson. To Swift. I don't think it's in. To Hannah.
And that is a tie game.
That's a tie game.
Looks like we're going to overtime. That is...
Let me grab my rule book.
Yeah, pull it out. Let's see what's going to happen. This was a really tough end of game scenario for Utah. They had the disc with 7 seconds left, and all they had to do was dump it backwards once, and the game was over. The upfield look ended up getting blocked with enough time on the clock that the Astra were able to score. So
all right,
that's a real film session there, and it looks like Jen is having a heart-to-heart with Hunter. We're having a hard time with Hunter on that one.
I know Cogburn last year also had a similar situation.
See Hunter throwing upfield into too many defenders with time on the clock, and then here is the possible game-saving block. Ruled a foul by the observer, and there was a lot of contact after the block, so I think the observer made the correct call there.
And so now let's go over our overtime situations. We have a first overtime that's 4 minutes of clock time. It's going to be determined by a coin flip. Or coin flip shall be used again. So sorry, I'm reading this directly. Home team shall make the call. Winning team picks whether they shall receive or pull, or they can choose the end zone they want to defend. Other team gets the remaining choice. During the first 2 minutes, clock is consistent with regulation time, but it's similar to the last 2 minutes of a quarter where there are stoppages in between. If the game is still tied at the end of first overtime, they go to second overtime. And also, the second overtime is sudden death, and I don't think either team really wants to go to that situation.
That does not sound pleasant. Well, if you're the Wild, I think just take a deep breath and reset.
Yes, we have our...
Looks like the Wild will be receiving, so that is what you want to see here. You just take a deep breath and reset, and realize that at this point, this overtime period is all you have to worry about. There's no reason to think about what is in the past, though.
Yeah, let's see if we can get this O-line in shape for Wild. And I mean, Astra still needs to just continue with that defensive pressure. Childress made a game-changing play, literally, and sent it to overtime.
Exactly, and I think that is indicative of the talent that this Astra team has despite their record. And they came out and did not ever consider the game over at any point and have pushed this into overtime. Getting your money's worth, a little extra action on the end of Wild Wild Weekend here.
Good game. This is a good time to remember. This is the last WUL game of the weekend, so you get extra frisbee time.
Is this the first overtime game in league history?
It might be, or at least it's the first one of the season. I can guarantee that.
So many firsts out here.
So many firsts. We had our first Callahan a few weeks ago. That was so exciting by Chip Chang for the Arizona
very cool.
Sidewinders. That was beautiful. It was really fun to watch.
Cool. Okay, so Utah's on offense.
They have kept pretty much the same O-line out there. All right, we're just waiting for the game to start.
It's got to be tough, though. The Wild have been really cognizant of these end of quarter scenarios, and that was just a little bit of just 1 to 2 seconds of a miscue, and pushed us into overtime.
All right, we have Pritchard picking up. Songer up line. Not a lot of options for Songer, but she finds Burkett. Ooh, Agawa on Burkett, and just, Songer tried to save it, but it was definitely a high stall throw.
Yep, a high stall situation there, causing Burkett to throw it upfield.
No foul, but Agawa and Burkett are still talking. I believe there was a stall called, but they decided to call it very late. And remember, the clock is still running, so we're at 3:10.
Contested stall.
Inside of 2 minutes, it stops, but in the first 2, it does not.
Okay.
The Wild handler movement looking a little stagnant, causing these high stall situations. And right after that, it goes right back.
Quick turn by Brown. Ogawa playing very physical on Perquette and Brown with the grab for Staller.
Just knowing that the disc is moving from the handlers and not from the downfield is allowing these defenders to really just key in too heavily.
Oh, Ogawa saves it. We have Childress looking deep. Looking for, I think, Martinez. A nice inside to Martinez. Ooh, Williams close. Ogawa. Helm going deep.
Bile gets by Stanislawski the corner, and that's a break. And this offensive line looks exhausted. I think if you're the Wild, you got to switch something up here and either move some some fresher cutters or switch up the spaces you're attacking.
Yeah, run something a little different. It seems like the current system, Astra's really gotten smart too. Let's take a look at Ogawa's.
Really hard to see this angle. This is a tip.
Oh.
That is, looks up to me.
I was gonna say it looks down.
I would say that looked up. She got a hand on it before it hit, but it was close. And I think if you're the Wild, it's so frustrating. You get a block and get it back, and then you get a hand on it, but giving the Astra 2 to 3 chances is too many for your offense.
Yeah, and so Wild put their D-line out. I think getting a fresh perspective is probably what they want, and Astra did a roller pull out.
Going with the sideline trap immediately.
With a boost to Haruzhnikova.
And that is too far.
Okay, so we have Guzman picking up. Weaver at that front of stack. We have no going deep, but over to Weaver. Back to Grimshaw. To Weaver.
If you're Astra, you're totally cool to take all your time.
And no, just an overthrow there.
And we've got about a minute left, minute 10 left here. So if you're the Wild, you need to score, and then you're going to have to get a block with under a minute left.
So we have Shortall with the disc to Shelke. To Haruzhnikova. Then around to Hunter. To Atwell. Lily Terpstra with the save. To Miller. To Hunter. With a big boost to Atwell.
Yes. And that is a strong possession for the D-line, but with 23 seconds left, they're going to have to get a block quickly and score.
It's going to be intense.
Yeah, it's coming down to this, and now the pressure's on the Utah D-line instead of the Astra D-line. Or sorry, the pressure's going to be on Utah instead of Los Angeles.
So yeah, let's see who's out there for Astra. Weaver, Childress, Wilson, Ogawa, Yen, Hannah, and Brown. I think that's a really strong line.
It's a really, really strong line for them, and it looks like Utah is also putting out a hybrid here. We've got Cogburn on the line and Robbins.
I think Cogburn's really the only person brought over.
Yeah, Cogburn crossing over.
Cogburn has some strong D-line roots. I think Cogburn says, give it to me. So we have Ogawa picking up to Hannah, who's unmarked, to Weaver. Hannah still unmarked. To Yen. Back to an unmarked Hannah. Not sure if this is like a zone or just a miscue, but Atwell's picking up Hannah now. And a turn.
And a turn, and that's
that's
it
time.
appears that the time expired.
Oh, I was not watching clock. I was too invested in the game.
So that is the end of the first overtime.
So I think it's also important to note, so we go back to second overtime now. It is sudden death. Teams shall switch who receives and the end zone position based on how play was initiated in first overtime. So Wild is still starting on defense.
Okay, so this is going to be, the pressure is just going to ratchet up just a little bit more here. The Wild are going to need to get a break to win.
I'm going to barf. I think this is definitely the first double overtime situation. I can guarantee that.
Shouts to the Double Overtime podcast.
Double overtime. We did it for you and for the drama. So, yeah, wow, this is intense. I am speechless right now. So it looks like Wild is having a discussion with a flex line right now. We have Cogburn, but we also have Miller, Wallen, Robbins.
I have to commend the effort of Astra here. A road team had a difficult Saturday, came out and was down by 4 goals and never really acted like they were out of it.
And I think it's important that Astra went 5 or 6 unanswered points.
Yes.
At one point we were talking, I did think at the end of quarter 3, which I did think was quarter 4, that the game had wrapped up. And Astra said, no way. And they've had a very similar situation when they beat San Francisco. All right, so yeah, Wild with their flex line out there. Astra with, I think, also a flex line, but one we've seen before. I think it's almost identical to who was just on the field, which is Childress, Yen, Weaver, Hannah, Agawa, Brown, and Wilson. And Wild out there has Songer, Stanislavski, Robbins, Wallen, Cogburn, Kircher, and Miller.
I think if you're both teams, you're going to want to be consistent, to state the obvious, but if you're going to turn it over, I think you want to turn it over and make the other team work the full 70 yards to get the goal.
Yeah, I think Miller with the pull. And it goes out of bounds.
It's a big pull, unfortunately sailing out of bounds there.
And so we have Stanislavski on Hannah, Kircher on Agawa, and we have Weaver still. They're running that split stack where they have Weaver and Childress kind of as those initiating cutters, and it looks like Wild is sticking in a match D with just a huck to Weaver. I like
right
those odds
away.
in this game. And Cogburn comes over with the D. That's why they brought her.
I like those odds, but I feel like everybody knew what was happening there.
Yeah, Cogburn has the help D there. Robbins is great in the air, but she has been bested by Weaver this game. Stanislavski wide open. Little floaty to Robbins. Ooh, timeout called. I don't know if there are timeout rules.
One timeout per overtime.
One timeout per overtime.
I don't hate it. Use your timeout now. You have possession. You don't want to stall out.
Yeah. I'll take it. Take a second, reset, maybe make some other personnel changes. Let's get crazy.
I feel ill.
I drank a Diet Coke really quickly before this, and I am feeling it.
I think if you're watching as a neutral fan, this has to be awesome.
I'm stressed out of my mind.
I know.
But yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm assuming Astra's going to stay with those same players. They've been working so well together, even as a hypothetical flex line. And let's take a look at that turnover. It was a first throw.
Robbins kind of baits it, and there's just help coming from Cogburn, and also Molly Robbins, number 8, ends up out too tall. Molly says, "You're not tall enough."
I think that is the first time Weaver has been blocked in the sky this game, and what a time!
I mean, I think Hannah knew what she wanted there, but it just seemed that the Wild were okay with making Astra.
And I think
choose something rash.
Wild made a few personnel changes. Wallen is off and Parquet is on.
Yep, that I think might be the only change.
I think that's a solid change.
Yep.
Wallen's pure D, baby.
Yep, a D for O switch. This is like an end of game basketball situation. You're subbing, you're using all your timeouts, you're subbing people in, and it looks like did Igawa get subbed on for LA
Igawa
here?
was originally on.
Okay. Any subs for LA? It's hard to tell.
I think Grimshaw is on.
Okay.
And I think she may have replaced Hannah.
That actually looks like the case.
So we have Stanislavski initiating. They have some great lockdown D and a big put and a turn. I don't know if that ever came in. That was some great match by Astra.
Really tough. Really tough out of the timeout. Just really no efficient look.
They say, what if we just
completely shut you down? Now with both teams, it's a third possession of double overtime, and LA have the disc.
We have Weaver to Grimshaw. Back to Weaver. And I think Astra's going to use their timeout. They said, hey, we can do it too. Wow.
What do you do if you're Astra here? Do you put your offensive players in? Do you leave the same line out? I think if you're Astra, I would probably go with the same line. Maybe put Hannah in again. And if you're Utah, I think you keep your 7 at this point, because you do want some offensive power on the turn.
Yeah, I think in general, I would say with Astra, you stick with that same line. Maybe swap Grimshaw and Hannah again, but they're both powerful throwers. And Grimshaw's been working really well in kind of those dinky handle sets, which Wild has been forcing them to run. Yeah, and Wild is making, I think, no adjustments. Oh, no, wait, maybe they brought Wallen back. Mac's not there anymore. I don't know where Paquette went. No, Mac's still there.
Paquette is in the huddle, so the Wild are making no substitutions.
Let's see if we can get a little listen. 20 seconds to set up on offense. I think that they're keeping Weaver with the disc, and they're setting up in a side stack situation with Grimshaw back helping Weaver. Childress looks like she's actually going to be pulled out as an initiating cutter. Yeah, I think it's been hard for Wild out there to cover Weaver and Childress together.
Yeah, Childress looks like Childress ISO right here.
Oh, it looks like yeah, Wilson's been on the whole time.
The Wild are going to shade really aggressively into the lane.
And they're looking for Grimshaw. Agawa is wide open, taking advantage of that poach set.
The crowd is just really into it now.
Over to Yen. To Agawa in that power position. Weaver open. Back to Yen. He's able to dink it back to Weaver with a big play to Childress.
And just enough pressure gets the D, and the Wild have another chance.
The crowd is hyped here. Oh, Kircher with the mollies down there somewhere.
That is a very floaty pull.
And Wilson gets it back. Great job, Wilson there.
Both teams really just, I think, want to score at the end of the game. We see some impatient decisions. The Wild are being especially impatient here, but again, the Astra now have to work at the full 70, and both teams have really struggled in this double OT to work it the length of the field.
Both want this game to end. Oh, beautiful inside to Weaver. To Brown.
Very, very narrow throwing window.
Inside over to Weaver, but opens up the field a little bit more. Agawa's going deep. And Agawa, oh, that would have been incredible.
Just barely out front of Avalon Igawa, and neither team has a timeout at this point, so they are going to be grinding the rest of this game.
All right, we have Stanislavski picking up. To Songer. To Robbins. To Burkett. Back to Songer. To Kircher. To Miller going deep. But Weaver's there. That's a high-risk play, but Miller...
Yes! And that's a walk-off win in double overtime for the Utah Wild!
Let's go! What a game!
That is an incredible game.
I'm gonna barf. That was truly a wild, wild weekend.
I have chills. I have chills in this overheated commentary booth. Before we get too far into it, an incredible game by LA Astra with almost nothing to play for. They came out and in a third quarter where they were down by 4, refusing to go away, refusing to get back on the plane, fighting into double overtime and pushing the Utah Wild absolutely to the brink on their home turf.
I think with Astra, we have to applaud Weaver, Childress, and Agawa. They're incredible players. They all made game-changing plays, including Childress's D to send the entire game to overtime and then double overtime.
And on the Utah side, I thought that the D-line played really efficiently and that the offensive line took a deep breath and reset themselves when it mattered. And
yeah, I want to focus. Let's take a look at how this point kind of went.
This whole double OT, just a little doink there to get it back. Kircher
just with
a little too excited with this huck here. And the second possession for the Wild.
And Weaver with Agawa so close, almost off the hand.
And then Utah on its last possession giving a power position huck to a sprinting Kendra Miller.
Kendra ran 400 in college, and it shows.
Just incredible. I have watched some great Ultimate this weekend. We had some really exciting games. We had some really exciting games this weekend, and I think if you're the Wild, the ability to close these games out is a really big step forward from 2 weeks ago in Colorado where they had a lead and were unable to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, that Wild hybrid line at the end was able to generate turns and also generate big plays. They did. And we're going to do our Discraft play of the game. Discraft is a sponsor of the Western Ultimate League, and you know what it's got to be. It has to be Kircher's huck to Miller to end the double overtime game.
The walk-off win here with the huck. Page unfazed by a previous huck turnovers, unfazed by all the usage earlier in this game.
Just an incredible game by both teams.
Yeah.
We see Wild celebrating with their fans.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. As I said last night, if you're watching, subscribe to the Western Ultimate League. We have more viewers on the streams than we have people subscribed. So subscribe and hit that alert button, and you'll find out whenever there's a new gameplay.
And yeah, here's just a little replay of the game. We have that Wild flag runner, Aaron. Songer's first goal of the game, and McCready just also had an incredible game.
Hannah all over the field, offensively and defensively, keeping Astra in it.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fight, but at the end, the Wild had just enough and dug deep into their bag of tricks.
And I think, importantly, Wild went 2-0 on the weekend, which means they have that championship contention and one more win over Colorado, which is hugely important for getting into championship weekend.
Yep. The Wild will be on the road May 5th and 6th in Seattle and at Oregon.
And yeah, it's been a wild, wild weekend indeed. Thank you for staying with us to watch this game and overtime number 1 and overtime number 2.
Just an awesome game to be a part of. So many highlights. Glad you tuned in. This has been the Western Ultimate League.